Hello everybody and welcome back to another Overwatch video. So we're doing something a little bit different in this one. As you can see by the title, we're actually going to be looking at the patch notes and more specifically Brigitte, kind of breaking her down, how is this going to change her, my personal opinions, how it feels to play her, because that's something I don't see a lot of channels doing is, you know, they look at the stats, the exact numbers, but how does it actually feel to play the different heroes once they're changed, once they're patched, once they're reworked? And in this case, this is a full rework for Brigitte, so it's an exciting time. Overwatch is on the way up in my opinion, so let's get straight into it. So right here in front of you, you'll see all the changes, but we're going to cut it and break it down piece by piece, starting off with Inspire, which is her passive, and the two biggest changes, or the two changes, is 1, healing amount increased from 100 to 130, and 2, self-healing from Inspire is now cut in half. Now, honestly, the changes that they made to her passive are basically some of the biggest ones to her entire kit and her playstyle. Like, the passive changes is what cements her away from the kind of brawl style that we used to play her as a kind of pseudo tank, getting in there doing damage, and places her back into her intended role as a support. So this is probably some of the most healthiest changes I've ever seen Blizzard make, and I have good reason for it. So with the healing amount increased, obviously this is to more so compensate for the second nerf, which is self-healing being cut in half. So you need to stay much more closer to your team, as a support usually should, and as you're dealing damage, you're going to be healing the teammates around you at a much quicker rate. I mean, 130 is a pretty significant buff from 100. And to compensate for this buff, we have the second point, which is her self-healing being cut in half, and honestly, this really is what changed her playstyle. I mean, when you're going in to attack the enemy, you know, you're shield bashing and you're starting to hit them, you cannot sustain the same amount of damage that you were once able to. I mean, you can barely sustain yourself on your own, which is a good thing. This is a healthy change to Brigitte because she is now a support the way she was supposed to be. On the flip side, since launch, when I used to play her, I used to be able to dive people from behind and completely 1v1 or even 1v2, sometimes even 1v3 without worrying about. I felt unkillable. When I used to play Brigitte, I did not die. That's what I remember. I used to have barely any deaths, and I used to play ballsy as hell, diving very deep into the enemy lines, and I tried that in the new patch with the new reworked Brigitte, and it did not work. I got my ass handed to me and I died almost immediately, and this is mainly because of this one change. Like, obviously all the changes add up to changing her and making it a very different hero than before, but just simply halving the self-healing went very, very, very long way in changing her playstyle. Everything else is to compensate for mainly this one change and make her feel a lot more like a support, and I think most people are going to be very, very happy with the outcome. Moving from there, we have Repair Pack, which now has 3 charges, as most of you know, and the healing amount was changed from 150 to 120, so it is a little bit of a nerf on the amount of healing the heal pack does, but because you have 3 of them, it's overall a quite big buff. Instead of dishing out 150 and waiting for the cooldown, you can dish out up to, trying to do mental math, 240, you can dish out up to 360 now in 3 different charges. However, they do not stack. They heal over 2 seconds instead of instantly, so instead of 150 right off the bat, it's 120 over time. It's still more healing overall, but you can't like save someone last second. It's going to require you to do a lot more management, but you can throw it to 3 different teammates and have 3 different teammates heal 120 over time. So it's a trade-off, but overall it makes her more of a support and less of just dive in, heal the one person. I don't know, there wasn't much for you to do before as a support. You just 150 health to someone and then go jump in, shield bash, and be unkillable. Now there's more to manage, and that goes a long way for a support-based hero. The last point, as you can see at the bottom, is if you throw multiple packs at the same person, the current duration will be extended by 2 seconds. So you can throw it all at one person, but it's not worth it. You're going to be losing some of the healing that you could be distributing to the rest of your team, so you only really need to do that if it's a must, like someone is 1v1ing or skirmishing against one single person and you're isolated with that teammate, so you can heal him more than once. But in general team fights, it'll be more effective to heal multiple people. anyways, moving on to the next point, there is her now whip shot, which is also changed. Everything's changed. So the outgoing velocity is increased from 60 to 80, making it a lot more effective for now peeling. So you can peel, of course, yourself. So if someone jumps on you like a Winston, you can whip shot them further away, which is great. This does go a long way, since again, they know what they're doing. They lowered her sustainability by half. They gave her more overtime healing. She's less of a brawler, much more of a support with a shield, but she's still way more squishy than she was before. So now, in return, they're giving her a way to peel for herself. This is smart balancing. Again, this is some of the best work Blizzard has really done, even though it's very, very, very long overdue. It's coming at a good time with 222. The next thing is that retracting time is reduced from 0.6 to 0.3, meaning that the whip will come back to you a little bit faster, allowing it to go on cooldown, which is great. Again, just adds to the overall feel of being able to peel for yourself. So instead of just 1v1ing because you'll out-sustain and heal, you'll be, pacing yourself. If you're going to lose the fight, maybe whip them away, shield bash them. But you guys get the idea. Now, the next thing, this is another thing that really changed how it feels to play her. And I don't know how I feel about this change 100%. Most people will be extremely happy with it. I'm in the middle. I'm a little bit torn about it, but that's to her barrier shield. Basically, the total health, as most of you know, is 500, but it's been reduced to 200. And you really feel this when you're playing her. I mean, I barely throw my shield up before it's gone now. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Let me explain why. Because most people are extremely happy because they hated how much health it had, and I agree it was too much, but I think 200 may be a little bit too low. With the lack of self-sustaining that she has now, so she can't heal herself nearly as much, I mean, it's literally cut in half, and the fact that she has to play more like a support and close to her team, and she already has to use her whip way more often to create distance, since she can no longer 1v1 like she did before. I feel like lowering the shield is not that great, because when you lower it to 200, you're really just now having to use it to protect yourself instead of your team, and more so maybe in 1v1s you can throw up your shield up and down to make sure you're blocking some abilities, which is great, but it now lacks any sort of support utility, which is mainly it's probably what Blizzard intends. They want her to just straight up be more of a healer, not a pseudo tank, which I would say just put it to 300 instead of 200, because when I was playing on 200, I could barely throw it up if there was 3 people shooting at me before it was gone, meaning my survivability is very, very low, and there's no way I can, let's say, shield bash in front of a teammate and protect them like I did before, which is a feeling of a support role, right? It's support utility. So it would be nice to have it maybe 300 instead of 200, just so I can jump in front of a teammate and protect them like you could with the old Brigitte. But again, this is probably Brigitte, sorry. It's probably what Blizzard intends. They want her to be more squishy overall. It's still a healthier change, and it's still way better than it being 500, so hopefully no one got me wrong. Moving from there though, adding insult to injury, we have the stun duration of shield bash reduced from 0.9 to 0.75. Now, I'm not going to really complain about this one. This is a healthy change, though you definitely feel it when you're stunning someone. Even though it's such a small number, you may believe that you wouldn't feel it, but man, oh man, you do. Overall, healthier change. It doesn't affect the new playstyle that much. It of course is more effective to the old playstyle of not being able to do frontline as much anymore, but all in all, she's already overloaded kit, so reducing her CC is a healthy change. The final thing is rally ultimate cost increased by 10%. This is interesting since they already globally increased ultimates by 12%, so now technically after the change, her new ultimate takes 22% longer to get. Interesting change. It's more so probably to keep her at base, since once she ultimates, she can dive in frontline again, and you kind of can play the old Brigitte for a little bit during her ultimate because of what the ultimate provides, but I assume again it's more that they don't want that playstyle, so by increasing the ultimate it happens less per game. But anyways, those are all the changes to Brigitte. What do you guys think about them? Let me know in the comments down below. Overall, I definitely believe they moved her from a pseudo tank frontline unkillable damaging beast to a much more heavier healer that can now heal more, and more cemented her in that support role with some utility without being overbearing. Overall, it's a very, very healthy change. I probably won't be playing the new Brigitte because I'm more of a DPS player, which is the only reason I played the old Brigitte, but I am extremely happy with the changes. Again, let me know in the comments down below what you believe. Are you happy, unhappy? Do you still want her deleted? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.